off camera, I told you that I like your voice in the interview, right?
Just now.
You're right. So, can you, where did you learn it? Because what I want to know is, I know you said your mom, you could say that, right? But did the stage performance have anything to do with it, helping you develop that confidence in voice?
With my voice, no. I'm a full-figured model as well.
Okay.
So with modeling, it actually helped.
Okay.
My mother, she drilled that in us sitting to the table. Sit up, don't slouch. You know? So that's always been a part of me. But when I started modeling, that's when I really started to get a little bit better at it, and it stuck with me.
Okay. So when you linked with Willis, was that your first time with live performances?
No.
Okay.
I actually, while I was away to school in Cuba, when I came back home, I actually hooked up with a band called Kariba.
Okay.
And I actually started to perform with them over Paradise Island in the Marina Village.
What type of band is it?
They are an all-around band.
Okay.
They do jazz, mainly jazz.
Okay.
At least when I was there. I think they probably branched out a little bit more. But jazz was what they did mainly.
So what did you study while you were in Cuba?
I actually studied medicine.
Right.
I wanted to be a pathologist. It's a person who kind of opens bodies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. So,
yeah. I was an intern here, PMH.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did it in the morgue.
So you completed the...
No. I stayed for 2 years.
Okay.
I am fluent in Spanish.
Okay.
But while I was there, it wasn't for me.
Okay.
You know, I wanted to do it as a child. I actually wanted to be an obstetrician growing up. And then changed once I got into actually cutting open the bodies, and I was like, this is so cool, I want to learn more. And when I got over there, I realized, you know what, I don't have a passion for it. You know, from school, I always did all of my friends' eyebrows and makeup,
right.
Always played in colors and stuff like that from school, high school. So when I went off to school to do that, I did the same thing while I was there. You know, while I was in the class, everyone, Mandisa, you come do my brows? Sure. You know? So I realized what my passion was 2 years in.
Okay.
You know? So.
Well, that's good. It's good that you discovered it, because, you know, some people walk through life as zombies, you know?
Yeah. They go on these jobs and they don't love it. And because they don't love it, they don't perform the way they should perform.
Exactly.
And so I actually stood, I would tell anybody this story, I stood to the top of my dorm, and I was sitting with another Bahamian at the time.
Okay.
It was only me and him in that province at the time, and I told him, I said, I wanted to come home. I want to do makeup and I want to sing in a band.
So how did your parents react to that decision?
My father wasn't happy about it.
Right.
He definitely was not happy because I was on a scholarship.
Wow.
Yeah. So he definitely wasn't happy about it. My mom, she was more so, if you want to come home, you can come home, so forth like that. So me and my dad was kind of at a distance for a time. And then when I came home, I lived with my mom for a while. And then we spoke about it, and I told him, you know, it just wasn't for me. I wouldn't have been happy, you know, because my brother is actually a doctor.
Okay.
He studied there as well.
Okay.
And he completed. He's completed. He's in the practice now. He loves it, and he does excellent at it, you know. And I salute him for that, but it just wasn't me. I was just never that child.
So did your parents support you musically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they didn't before.
Right.
My dad didn't before. My mom, it's an iffy situation there. So, but my dad, he didn't like it at first. You know, every time I used to perform, oh, you always, these late nights, you giving more to them than what you giving to da da da. And then I had a son, so he always felt like I was doing more with the band and not spending enough time with my son. So it was a day job and then it was a night job.
Okay.
Because we performed way more back then.
Okay.
So he always had a little problem with it until one day he heard me on the radio. And that's when he was like, oh, that's my daughter. So it brought, that kind of sealed it for him. And he saw that it wasn't leaving
right.
me. So I I think he just basically said, you know what, just let it be, you know.
So how would you agree with your dad that you were spending more time with the band than your son?
I was spending more time at work than with my son.
Okay.
Not just at the band.
Okay.
Because I also work at Jumbo.
Okay.
And between there and then going home, changing, and then going to
Straight.
perform,
Okay.
yes, collaborated, yes, I was spending more time away from my son. That's why I got a live-in nanny. I prayed for her. So I was like, Lord, I need someone who's going to be here all the time and someone who my son is going to trust and call mother as well, call mommy as well. And to this day, she's still with us, and my son calls her mommy. And I don't have a problem with it because I'm a hustler. I'm always on the road, you know, always trying to make money, different avenues, trying to do this, trying to do that,
Right.
you know, dip my hand into this. And as my son grew older, he understands. Like tonight, me coming here, when I went home to change, he's like, "When are you going to perform, eh?" I said, "No." He said, "What you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to an interview." He said, "Oh, okay. You want something to eat before you go?" So he's like, he's used to it, but he knows that I love him a lot, and I know he loves me a lot. So that quality time that I have with him is very precious.
Right.
So it may be minute to some people, but it's very grand for him because I see him every morning and I see him every night.
Okay. Yeah. So do you ever turn down any gigs for that quality time? I know you say you're a hustler and everything, but
I've never had to actually choose.
okay.
It's always been a situation where it worked out to where I didn't have to choose.
Okay.
Because God knows my heart. I need that money. But
Okay, you wanna be
my son need me as well.
Mhm.
So that's something that I always prayed for as well. I was like, you know, God, I on this road doing this for him, I needed to be in order. You know?
Okay.
Make sure it's done in decency and order.
Mhm.
Make sure it doesn't clash.
All right.
Because when he needs his time, he needs his time, and when I need to go and make this bub, I need to do that. So
Right.
and it's never changed.
Right.
I've always been able to balance, and it's never clashed.
I appreciate you being so candid, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the fluency in Spanish, did you learn all of that in Cuba, or did you have interest in Spanish prior to leaving?
In school, we did Spanish, but it was never really a big interest.
Mhm.
I only grew interest because going to visit my brother while I was in Cuba, you know, people would always talk to you, and you want to answer them back. They're
Right.
like, but you know, that would be my only interest when I go over. Never really had a main interest, but I love it now that I have it. I learned all of it while I was there, and being there, definitely, you have to be thrown into a situation in order to know what to do, in order to
I agree.
survive.
You have to be immersed in it.
You have, yes.
I agree.
So, first instinct of any human is survival.
Mhm.
So, being thrown into that, no one being able to speak English,
You have no choice.
you have no choice but to
Right.
survive. So, you learn, first thing you learn is body language. You know, you learn little things in school, and what you do is apply that. And body language, and then you learn certain words that would help you understand, you know?
Mhm.
So, yeah, I love it now.
So, you ever traveled with Willis and Ellis band?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm the only female that's ever been in that band for
Okay.
9 years,
Wow.
and I've traveled everywhere. The only place that I have not traveled with them was when they went to New York, and that was because of my job.
Okay.
I couldn't get the time off.
So with that international exposure, what's different internationally and locally as far as the shows, as far as everything?
But when we traveled to Atlanta, we got more love. We did a show in Atlanta. It was crazy. We got mad love while we were there. And the difference is, when we first started out here, it was hard. It was rough, you know, because being Bahamian and then singing reggae,
Right.
people don't think that it's Bahamian. I'm a Bahamian, I only sing reggae. It's only reggae. You know, they say, oh, reggae is for Jamaicans and so far like that. But I like reggae, so why can't I sing it? You know? So that was always a stiff law on us as a band. Well, y'all trying to be Jamaican, I don't know. It's just we're Bahamians. We sing reggae music, and with that, person's kind of straight off. But then we got a lot of people who actually was with us, because we were good.
Okay.
We still are.
Mhm.
We're great. Willis has an amazing talent, and the band that I'm with, the band that started with us, isn't the band that we have right now.
Okay.
And from beginning to end, all musicians, amazing. So it was hard starting up.
And that theme about, I guess, the lack of support is a common theme for many artists here.
Mm-hmm.
So besides Atlanta, generally, even though persons don't know you, is the reception normally better than local? I mean, now you will have traction at home.
Yes.
Persons are familiar with you
Yes.
guys and some of your songs. So
Mm-hmm.
when you come out, they will cheer and stuff like that. So
Yes, we have a way larger following now.
right.
And it's been a bumpy road, but like I said, we started off at Hammerheads. Hammerheads is not what it is. Would you see Hammerheads is now a shipwreck? No. We made that like that.
Okay.
Because we got so popular, they was able to renovate. And I can say that. Okay? Because all of that in the back there never was. I'm telling you, I'm not even lying. The managers before, when we started to have like a real following behind there, they raked it up. You understand? That's when all the renovations started. They got bigger because our crowds were getting bigger,
Right.
So they had to expand. For us.
So just two more questions, but just give me one or two things that you learned, because adversity builds character. So what are some things that you learned by sticking it out with the band during the hard times to get to this level of success and to continue growing?
One of the biggest things that I've learned was loyalty. And that's in all aspects of life. But with the band, just being there, because just because something falls off, or just because something is difficult or hard, doesn't mean that it isn't for you. Sometimes in order to get to where you need to get, in terms of your destiny, what you're destined to be, it's not going to always be a straight road. God is going to turn you left and He's going to turn you right, because when it actually does come down to someone pressuring you to do something that you don't want to do, or pressuring you to fall back, or pressuring you just to speak malice on someone else, those were times that taught us, to have each other's back.
Right.
We are the only ones that are going to have each other's back, no one else. And like I said, that's through all aspects. But mainly with the band, trust me, we've been through a lot. And the only original members of that band right now is me and Willis.
Right. Okay, so this next, and this is my final question, but I don't know, it might be a little contradictory at this point, but you have any solo aspirations?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay.
I've done a lot of collaborations. I did have a solo aspiration. It's not as big as it used to be. It dimmed down a lot. And that's because of me. I was afraid to push, for myself. I could push for everybody else, but I have a hard time pushing for myself.
Right.
And that's something inner. That's me.
Right.
But I always wanted to do solo things, solo songs. Didn't necessarily need to have a solo career, but I always like to try something. I always want to be able to say, I did it, this is what happened, and if it didn't work, this is where I am. If it did work, this is where I am. I don't ever want to limit myself, but I know I could have done it a long time ago and I chose not to because I was afraid. And for the matter of fact, because I don't think that I was ready.
You weren't ready to.
I wasn't
be
ready
vulnerable
to-
in that way?
I wasn't ready to take on that type of responsibility,
Okay.
and I also wasn't ready to take on different cultures in the music industry. It's so much, because you hear so much about the music industry and what they have to offer and what they don't have to offer, and people backstabbing and people for you,
Okay.
people not for you, the trust issues. And I was like, hold on, before I get there, let me stay here. You know, I had an opportunity and I didn't take it, and I don't regret it, because I learned a lot while I didn't take it. So if I was to take it right now, I'll be more prepared.
So if it comes again.
If it comes again, I'll definitely do it.
Okay.
You know, I'm
Okay.
more prepared now because I'm stronger now. I think I know back then I was weaker. You know, so if anyone came to me back then, they would have been okay.
Oh,
And
okay.
I could have gotten
Screw
screwed, chopped, screwed.
Mhm.
You know, but now I'm stronger.
it. Okay.
So if it comes up again, I definitely would take it and just move forward, see where it goes.
Okay. It's been very insightful. Like I said, I appreciate you being candid and open. Like your voice.
Thank you.
I wish you much success. Mandisa, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay.